Okay, so I did my key assessment in a social studies classroom or segment with fifth grade students. My standard that I used was SS5H1, which was describe how life changed in America at the turn of the century. We only covered A and B, so cattle trails, cowboys, and all of the inventors, the Wright brothers, George Washington Carver, Alexander Graham Bell, and Thomas Edison. The second two, C and part C and D, those were covered the following week after I taught this. And then for literacy, for all of our writing and comprehension pieces to this, we had standard ELA GSE 5R13. My learning objectives for the entire unit were students will know we have made advances after the beginning of America. Students will understand that different events and inventions sparked change in America during the turn of the century, which was the late 1800s. And students will be able to discuss the events and inventions of important people during the turn of the century that changed America, advancing us forward. So the timeline is this is a 5-lesson unit that I did. It had pre and post assessments. And the breakdown is that the first day I did the pre-assessment, second day we did cattle trails. Third day we kind of had a continuation because they cover a lot of cattle trails on DQA, so we had to really dive into that one. And then cowboys and black cowboys were also that day. The fourth day we really dove into the Wright brothers because there was a lot to cover there. And then on the last day, we lumped together Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and George Washington Carver because they just go well together when you're teaching them. My methods used were metacognition, schema, and asking questions or questioning. With metacognition, it was really thinking about their thinking with read-aloud modeling done by me with a historical picture book. And then we really focused on what do I already know, and we did that with thinking charts. So we took, what we already know, what do I already know, and really dove into schema and made connections with recaps on lessons done by students, and then we connected those recaps to new lessons and the key objectives each day. And for asking questions or questionings, I really encouraged the students to ask and have questions. There were guided questions in the flipbook to guide students along. And then I also had them halfway through the first day, I realized that some were having more questions with stuff that we weren't quite able to get to yet, so I had them write questions on sticky notes every day, and if we didn't cover it, they stuck it on the board at the end of the lesson, and I covered it in the very beginning in like a quick little recap the next day. So at this time, I'd be showing you guys my flipbook, and obviously it's kind of hard to do that on here. So I'll just explain it, but really I had this flipbook that I made in PowerPoint out of a template from someone, and I had the standards on there, and I had a page for every single day, or really each topic that we were covering, and I had guided questions based on the lesson or the video or whatever we were doing. I had graphic organizers, they could organize their thoughts, so it really it was just a tool to help them stay engaged and ensure that they were following along with everything in the way that I wanted them to be to make sure they were achieving all of the learning objectives. And then the activities with that we did were readings, photographs, writing, songs, and videos. I had kind of a lot because I was able to do this in 5 days. So for readings, we did textbook research, and I had a picture book. We did passages. I had an informational picture book as well. Photographs, I had one of the cattle trails, I had flight logs from the Wright brothers, and pictures of the inventors. With the writings, we did cattle trail cowboys all on this kind of same day. We really talked about what being on a cattle trail is like, and then we talked about if you were a cowboy, based on this photograph I was showing, what would that look like? What was your day-to-day? What would you be doing or eating? Where are you sleeping? Really putting themselves in the picture and describing it. And then also summaries with a lot of the stuff we did. I did find a song in the Chisholm Trail. It was a cowboy song, so I had them listen to that. And then we had a discussion based on that of things that they heard. They kind of would jot down notes when they heard important things that they were connecting to. And then for the videos, I have videos of the first flight with the Wright brothers, videos of cowboys at the time. I had animated heroes, the classic animated heroes that we really watched when we were kids, but they're still really good today. And with the inventors, that was really the best to use because I've never seen them so engaged with a video when it comes to history. And then I found one from the Smithsonian Learning Center for George Washington Carver. Okay, so in my video, this is day 4. I'm on the Wright brothers. It's showing metacognition and schema. So I did the thinking charts like we did around the room, but my class cannot do that. This was early on in the year, and so they were still really having a hard time ingesting, and they could not control themselves when they were independent and moving around the room or working in small groups. So we did it whole group, but they were so involved that it actually turned out to be really good because we had good discussions about it. So I did it on the board, and I kind of gave them hints about it and modeled what that would look like based on myself if I were doing it. And I really told them it's okay not to know anything about it at all. Just ask questions or connect with things that you kind of think go with it, but don't really. I just really wanted them to think as much as they could. So, and if it sounds like I'm not familiar with any of their names or calling their names, I teach social studies in my placement twice. So we switched with the other 5th grade classroom, so we don't do science. And my video of my actual kids didn't work, but I was already teaching twice anyway, so I just recorded the second group as well, just in case, and this one worked out better.
Carter, what did we talk about yesterday? About the cattle trails and that it was cheaper down where in Texas there's only $4, but not to northern or the southern. North, south for $40 instead of $4. Yep. Okay. The supply and demand or something. Supply and demand. There's a high demand for cows. It's gonna jack the price up, and you're gonna need more supply. I had to there was a cow, and they had to have these horses protected because herds of Cowboys had different positions and jobs to keep the cattle together. Anything else? No? Okay. So, during this time, a lot of other things are happening, other than just the Wild Wild West.
Okay, so that I included that to kind of show what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the little mini lessons or mini recaps we would do in the beginning. I just used guided questions. I let them kind of draw on everything they remember. And then I built on that and how it goes into what we're learning today, because really this is all one time period that we're talking about and all of this is going on. So I kind of wanted them to remember what we learned the day before rather than have this disconnect of how everything meshes together.
In the Western expansion, we had huge science and technological advances. We had people inventing things. We had a lot going on. So first, we're going to talk about the Wright brothers today and what they did. And tomorrow we'll talk about some more of the inventors. Okay? You're what? I know, it kind of was what we were doing today. That's why I left after said that. Okay. So first we're going to kind of connect what we're talking about today by talking a little about what experiences you may have with these three or anything you may know about them at all. You may know nothing. You may know a little. You may know a lot. Like before I learned about this, I knew nothing about Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. I have family in North Carolina. I had been there. I didn't know anything about it before learning about the Wright brothers stuff. Okay, so what experiences do you have with planes? What do you know about planes? Anyway, Jackson, what do you know? In the sky. Okay, what else? Yes. They have an engine.
Wait, what are we writing?
You're not. We're just talking. We're just talking. Don't stress out. We're just talking.
Okay, with the flip book, they were kind of getting worried about where they were supposed to write down all the information, so that's where I was trying to tell them not to worry about it. We're not writing anything here, and the reason that I only did it on the board is because if I'm writing it, they're really focusing on what's going on, and so they were involving themselves in the conversation more than before, so I didn't want them focusing on what's important and what they really needed to write down, or if they were missing something. I just wanted to have like natural conversation to see what they could connect with.
Okay, they have an engine. What else? Yes. Yep.
I've flown on a plane.
You've flown on a plane. Okay, what else? Yes.
Propellers.
Yeah, propellers. Some do different models, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Yes. They what? They fly? Hey, it's okay. That's his connection that he's making. Cody, yes.
For transportation.
Transportation. Hmm? Oh, I like that one. They're fast. Okay. Oh, sorry. Thanks. Okay. What about the Wright brothers?
Oh, they made.
What do you know about them? What have you heard?
They're
Any
brothers.
connections about them? Yes.
Not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they were the first one to fly up there. One's name
Okay. First to fly.
Engineized.
What?
Okay. What else? Yes.
They were brothers.
Brothers. Okay. Brothers. What else? Yes.
Well, I have a connection because I watched this show called The Who Was Show, and I like how we bounced around figures.
Ooh, the what show?
The Who Was Show.
Oh, I like
Oh, I love that show. The Who Was. And it said how, like,
Guys, hold on,
it
listen.
said how the Wright brothers, they both, like, they made an airplane, but Orville Wright actually was the first person to fly an airplane.
Oh, so you watched the show and already learned a little bit.
I already know a lot about those Washington Congress.
Nice. I like it. Yes. Okay. Yes.
It was one of the person on the big stone. Like, what? Take a picture of a stone and then it's
No, not the Wright brothers. I know what you're thinking about. It's because you said George Washington Carver and you're thinking of something totally different, but it's okay. You're on a good track. I like it. Yes.
Oh, maybe the first one.
Okay, playing with an engine. Alright, what do you know about Kitty Hawk, North Carolina?
I just have
What questions do you have about it? What do you know? What?
Oh, I think Kitty Hawk is where they. Yeah, that's what I
Plays. Oh, maybe.
Okay, sorry for the talking there at the end. Someone came in with my mentor teacher and they forgot my laptop was right there, so that's where I cut it off because after that then I have to move my laptop and it's just a mess. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks.